didn't put it.
Who said Mondays have to be boring? Not here, not today, and definitely not on Jasiri, okay? It's Lola that caused it. Hello, beautiful people. You're welcome to a brand new week on This Table. This is the show where we bring you insightful conversations on stories that matter. And this week, we're bringing the energy, the stories, and a lot of vibes, because starting the week strong is simply what we do. Here on Jasiri, we're not just surviving Monday. We're making it twice as hot and fabulous as the weekend, so stay tuned. We've got a lineup of conversations you won't want to miss. But before I ask the ladies how their weekend went, let's start with the one who the weekend was all about, our amazing superstar, Lolo. Happy birthday again, my love!
Oh my God, oh my God. Yeah, say whatever you want to say.
By the way, you look so beautiful. Oh my God. I couldn't get over those
It's so
pictures.
nice seeing it on the
Like
big
this?
screen.
Yeah.
It was
Sexy
really,
mama.
I was
Sexy
very, I
mama,
love
yeah.
it. I like this one.
This is my favorite.
I love this one.
Well, happy birthday to our incredible Lolo, a woman whose laughter lights up every room and whose spirit inspires us all. We love you. We celebrate you. We're so grateful to work this journey with you. And here's to more joy, more wins, and endless blessings, both physically and me, of course, ahead. Yeah. But Lolo, you need to spill the tea. How was the weekend? Did you turn up like we know you can?
Well, everybody knows me that I'm not big on parties. Because I always think, I had a party last year, I had like a picnic and everybody was there. But if I'm having a party and it's not going to bang, then I'd rather not have a party. And this particular birthday, I didn't want to make so much noise because my kids were going to school. So I had to still drop them in school and they were feeling like they don't want to go. So I didn't want a party to be there and they have to go to school. It will make them feel more wretched and miserable. Because while they are going to school, it feels like mommy is celebrating.
They're missing.
And we're missing.
So what happens when they finally leave you and they leave the nest?
Don't concern me now. I have my own life. So I went to church in the morning and a friend of mine, I didn't mean I love you, but she said she was going to take me to the beach with her boo and have fun. And I waited for them. After church, I waited. You know those, where are you? I'm almost there. Where are you? I'm almost there.
They have not left the house.
Oh my God, 3 hours down the line, it was already almost 4 o'clock. I was dead tired from sitting in the sun. I had to go and stay in the, because after church, where we were going was just supposed to be the beach behind church. So I had to stay in church. So it was
so you weren't waiting at home.
I wasn't waiting at home. Because if I went all the way back to Aja, I don't want to drive all the way back to Niru. It didn't make any sense. When my church is just behind Elegushi Beach. And that was where they planned to go. So I had to leave and I went.
How did she make that up to you?
Well, you know, that's, hello. I said, I can't wait any longer. I have to go. Okay, no problem. I sent a voice message this morning because we're not supposed to fight about it. I said,
For your birthday?
Sorry, but you still have to apologize to me.
Yeah, she does.
So I went back home and one of my friends sent me a cake. I was so happy. Now had that sprinkly, lighty thing on it. Then a lot of people sent me money. Wow, it's my first money birthday. I don't know how to explain that. A lot of people sent me money from lunch. I was like, wow.
How many lunches can you eat?
But I was happy and grateful for the money. I was happy. We had cake. I know I'd cooked jollof rice and chicken. So there was food at home. So I spent the rest of my evening sleeping. And that was really
and it made you happy.
Very, I can't explain. So in a nutshell, that's how my birthday went. Maybe when we turn 50, we might decide
no, that
light
50,
up
we
the
turn it up.
Turn it to a Juma jokes.
JP
birthday.
We turn it up.
Yeah, and I'll make sure you sing.
I will.
A very difficult song.
No, she'll sing. Yeah. She'll do like Marilyn Monroe and pop out of the cake and sing happy birthday to you.
No, I don't want her to. Everybody will see her shape. No.
Wow. No, I'll just be in the cake like.
So just stay in the cake, just a little bit.
Okay.
Or you want the JP cake where we can walk in, your entrance will be inside the cake.
Even if Tolu decides to give me the cake, I'll collect the money and still make tear cake. But honestly, when we make such elaborate cakes, what do we do with it after?
It's not all cake, you know.
It's not all
except
cake.
It's not all
No,
cake.
it's not
Some
all
of it
cake.
is just
Once it gets a
architecture.
little too big, it's typically
But I
styrofoam
have
and
seen
other things.
cake designers that can actually make all cake of
Yes,
everything.
yes. I remember. Was it Buddy the cake guy who was really popular
There are too many on
Then this
social
guy
media
that does
now.
all the stuff with chocolate
You know,
and all that stuff.
Tolu, imagine sending me up. Anyway, for my 50th, all of you should ready. We are going to Singapore. That's what I want to do.
What's it with Singapore?
I don't know. I want us to be in Asia.
Okay,
for my
I'm
birthday.
with it. Please just give me fire.
Yeah.
We're fine.
We'll go to Singapore and have like a girls' 5
And then
days
there will be no
trip.
show for the week. Because
we'll
people will be in
record.
recovery.
And we'll send them
Jasiri,
trips from
Jasiri
in Singapore. We'll just sit in the morning.
Jasiri takes Singapore.
But that would be weird because the timing would be off.
Don't worry. They love us. They'll watch us
They'll
anytime.
watch us anytime.
Blessings, how was the weekend?
It was fine. I was gobsmacked by Lola's dress. When I said, I'm like, ooh, it was so nice. And my weekend was just there. Oh, I refunded a client and I felt so good about it.
Yes, and I was happy.
Oh my God.
I hope the event flopped.
No. No, eventually I recommend, and I'm glad that I did, because at first I wasn't going to recommend.
Every job is not your job.
eventually said
but eventually, and then the girl was so happy about it, and I was so happy. Like, while we're talking of it, I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. Like, what? Yeah, I'm not doing it, and I was so happy about it.
Yeah. No, that's so good. No, honestly, when she told me all about it, I was like, sometimes there's dignity in labor.
Yeah.
If they make you feel as if, they're doing you a favor. We're all MCs on this table, and we all have different genres. So if people cannot, even if you can't pay me my worth, I know how many jobs I've turned down because I would insist on my worth now. So even if I'm not getting it, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
I've refused a bank job before because they were not going to pay me well, and I know that they're doing it to diminish me. So if you jump at it, they're not going to offer you better.
And do you know that something happened over the weekend that made me realize, people have been saying it before, that the fact that you did something cheaper for a client doesn't mean they'll come back and pay you your
Oftentimes they'll go and pay somebody else that money you are asking
Do you know
for.
that there's this page on Instagram, so they're bloggers, right? So then I've never really sponsored any of my posts on theirs, but I have friends who usually want to sponsor. So the first time I reached out to them, I'm like, how much? I think they were just starting, and I think it was like 5K or 10K. So I was always paying them to sponsor. So like, this is like a year after. And then I sent them a message. I'm like, you know what? I want to post somebody's post on your page. And they sent me a well-curated rig card with about 75K. And I just didn't respond again. And it dawned on me, like, truly, like, I'm the one who used to pay 10K.
Yeah.
I would have been glad to pay the 75. I'm like, oh, no way. I'm not doing that. And then it just dawned on me, like, clients will go, they would rather go and pay that 75K to someone else than pay you that they know. Oh,
It happens.
Life lessons you're learning how. So Tolu,
my
what did you do with
We
it?
did photo shoots. I'm about to have a 10-year-old, guys.
Oh my
God. 2010. So I spent my Saturday morning doing a photo shoot for her. And she was getting emotional, that I was getting emotional, and I was like, I can't believe this.
Thank you so much.
Lola, you were like this. I was here a lot of
in our hands.
I
Even
was
though
here
she
a lot.
was
Thank you so
abroad, but
she was like this. I brought back this yellow, not even yellow, this very
Chubby.
white, chubby baby.
where Uncle Rede's weight went, she was chubby at a point, like a cherub. You know
Holding
that?
her, your hands will get tired.
you
You know, and I'm just like, I have a 10-year-old. She's about to be 10. So we did photo shoots. Then we celebrated one of our colleagues here. His son turned 1. So we're all there. Man, when you have children's birthday parties, that's when you know adults are competitive. We were New Central. We were so competitive in the games that we played. I was calling somebody Orubebe. We started saying that's Inek and Jega. We don't go Greek.
Why does that thing happen, though?
The only thing we didn't do was play. The only thing we didn't do was play musical chairs. And I said, you people, I'm not playing musical chairs with you. Before somebody knows, the spirits will come over them. Adults are bad when it comes to children's
There was a birthday. I think Topi Bang's son. We were all there. Were playing games, and we literally forgot. In fact, the second man came and was dragging his mom. So like, wait, first. Sorry.
But I think every time we attend birthdays, you just brings out the child in us.
Yeah.
Like, let's have fun here.
It makes me, so there's a company in the US that does that, and I'm thinking, yeah, you know what? I want to be on a bouncy castle. I want to run through bubbles. I want to go down a slide. I want to leave, I want to do lollipop. So we took the cotton candy, the candy floss, the popcorn, the ice cream. More adults were taking it than the kids. I kept sending Corey back. Go and see, is there more candy floss? So give us, I think because bills and everything, there's just so much on
Adults,
us. I would love to see a company come up with something that is children themed but for adults.
Yeah.
I will do it. I will come and do the bouncy castle. I'll do the balls,
like
the ball pits,
a
and
water
everything.
resort I've been really planning on going, but it will be fun with kids, not just us.
Before
There's
kids.
somewhere around Shangotedo, like a proper water resort.
It'll be fun. Because the world is always waiting to take our fun from us, you know.
Yeah.
But let's go on a quick break. We've given you highlights of our weekend. And of course, with Lolo as well, we've celebrated our one and only. The world and this show shines a little bit brighter because of you, my darling sis.
Thank you.
Lolo, I'm very proud to call you friend and sister. Now, let's take a quick time out. When we return, we have a lot to unpack. The Joint Admission and Matriculation Board has found itself in the crosshairs over the timing and location of exams. And Nigeria is also back in the international headlines, but not for the reasons we'd like to see. The United States Federal Bureau of Investigation has announced the arrest of 22 individuals, all Nigerian nationals, in connection with a large and disturbing sextortion scheme. The details after this.
Thanks for staying with us on Jasiri. You're still watching the show, and we're still in the birthday mood because it's Lola's birth month. Now, this is a show where we tackle the stories that matter the most and bring you the real talk, the real solutions, and of course, real empowerment. Now, remember, you can follow us on all our social media platforms at News Central TV. So, over the weekend, there has been a lot of lashing out and complaints from Nigerians, all pointing in one direction, and that is the direction of the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, aka JAMB for short. Now, the story from social media is that JAMB has set an unreasonable time for their exam and has also mandated students to travel outside of the cities and zones to take the exam. But JAMB has come out to say that is not the case. The board, in a statement, said that candidates are free to choose where they want to take the exam, and it's not JAMB that allocates centers. Now, JAMB also said that the 6:30 a.m. call time is for the verification exercise to start before the actual exam takes place.
All right, this is personal to me because I had a son who wrote it. The issue of where students can take their exam is also compounded by the fact that JAMB has delisted a number of CBT centers. These centers were removed after they failed to meet JAMB's required standards due to problems like poor facilities, failure to follow guidelines, or involvement in examination malpractice. For example, in 2021, JAMB blacklisted 25 CBT centers across Nigeria because of poor performance during the UTME. As a result, the number of available centers has reduced, forcing candidates to centers that are further away from their homes. In addition, JAMB has introduced new measures to independently verify candidates' O-level results to prevent the submission of fake credentials. These are further tightened regulations around CBT centers, making it necessary to control where students write their exams.
So let's take some reactions, notable of which we have a reaction coming from Peter Obi, but there are a number of other reactions. And he says, I came across multiple reports of students being asked to attend a public examination by 6:30 a.m. Teenagers, mostly around 15 to 17 years old, forced to travel in the dark, even in the face of insecurity, across dangerous and unfamiliar locations because they want to get to the basic right of education and sit for JAMB exams. Setting exams for vulnerable teenagers as early as 6 a.m. while transporting them across far-flung locations is reckless. Already reports are emerging of students getting into accidents and losing their young lives, and some going missing, and many more being subjected to unnecessary trauma. Who takes responsibility when a 15 or 16-year-old child disappears or is harmed while trying to access their right to education? This system sadly exposes a deeper systemic failure. Nigeria simply does not have enough universities and exam centers to cater to its youth. Today, Nigeria has just about 200 universities for a population of over 200 million people. That alone means one university for every 1 million citizens, a very disturbing and staggering ratio that shows the dilapidated level of the country's access to education. And of course, he goes on, but he's basically excuse me.
It's a long read.
It's a long read. He's basically saying that JAMB is wrong for setting this 6:30, 6 a.m. Call time for the exam. So if you go to the statements from JAMB, JAMB actually said that the exam is not actually at 6:30, but The verification exercise starts at 6:30.
But it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. The verification exercise starts around 6:30, and then they take the exam around 8. Also talked about the fact that they, in fact, do not select locations for candidates, that candidates themselves select the location. This is a retort to Peter Obi from the JAMB official handle, and it said, I must assert that our examination is scheduled to commence at 8 a.m., not 6 a.m. While verification and other clearance processes begins at 6:30, it is imperative that candidates are afforded adequate time to settle in before the exam begins. Listen to this. Given the tendencies often observed among Nigerians to arrive late when a start time is set without space for eventuality, this structured timeline is essential to ensure that all candidates are properly prepared and can perform to the best of their abilities. I read the entire statements from JAMB, and there was a tone to that statement that I did not like. It was a tone of chastisement, like, you people don't seem to understand what we're dealing with. There was just an overall very dismissive
like it's
tone
not their fault.
to the statement that JAMB released in regards to the complaints that Nigerians have. If your exam starts at 8, then it's 8. But by the time you have anything that says people need to be there at 6:30, that's still part of the exam, and therefore the exam starts at 6:30.
Let's not even lie that there are times when their verification. I remember when I wrote JAMB, where I think there are people who slept at the center overnight.
Yeah.
Because of the crowd. Look at the statistics now. Look, you're talking about the universities and all that. There's so much crowd that the number of people you have to verify between 6:30 that you claim to 8, you don't have enough time to do that. So sometimes even at 8:39, you're still doing your verification, despite the fact that students came early, and that's going to affect their exam time. It doesn't mean that you're going to give them more time for exam. So if they're having to come earlier, it's because you have slated 6:30 for verification, and they know that this is Nigeria. So this dismissive tone of it literally sounds like it's not our fault that.
It was a very unempathetic tone.
I have every right to even speak on this matter because my son wrote JAMB.
The reason Catherine is not here today is her daughter's writing JAMB.
When my son wrote JAMB last year, Tolu, we filled Aja in the. Do you know where they took him? Ekpe.
So wait, you selected Aja?
Yes, you
but
selected.
But when it came out, you selected an
I would
area.
expect that there's such a sprinkling of schools all around Aja, Bejuleki, all those things. They put it by local government, and they took my son to Ekpe. My PA then had to travel with him. We had to book an overnight hotel where they stayed to write the exam.
So he could be there on time in the morning.
Imagine if I have to work and he had to do that on his own. This week, thank God, I was so traumatized by that experience because my son was so scared. The hotel we could even get in it was not so good. So till morning, I was like, oh God,
you were a bit anxious.
Yeah, I was anxious. Now, this one chose, I allowed the school to fill their area that maybe mainland would be a bit easier. They took him to Iwaya.
Where is Iwaya?
I had to Google quickly. Iwaya is around Sabo in Yaba.
Okay, Yaba, yeah.
So that means my PA, and he had to leave home because we live far away in Aja, and he had to get to Iwaya. So that means they left home about 5. And it wasn't like, imagine the danger. That is somebody that was chauffeured.
Yeah.
How about someone that had to enter bus? There was a child they said in Aja
the young
that
girl
got missing.
Yes.
And they found in
Ijebu-Ode, that she was dropped in Ijebu-Ode.
So they need to do better because we wrote JAMB in our time now, and it wasn't like, oh, we were flung to some far distance. They need to think of the safety of these children because not every parent can afford to go with their child.
Absolutely.
So imagine if a child is to write at 6:30, you say verification start, and he lives far away in Aja. That means, how about those that are living in Shangotedo?
And not everybody has the capability
That's what I'm saying.
now
If my
to
child
even
left
do
at
overnight,
5,
to get a hotel the night before.
Who can get a hotel? Some of them will sleep on the bare floor or in front of the school because they don't have the capacity or the wherewithal to go and book a hotel. So imagine if my own child left at 5 from Aja. Imagine a child coming from far away, Awoyaya, or after Amen Estate.
So the accident we heard was even about a family that was traveling for JAMB and they got into an accident on the Oyo-Ogbomoso Express.
Imagine.
That's a road that it gives me nightmares because my parents live in Ogbomoso. I know that road like the back of my hand. I can be sleeping from Lagos to anywhere. Once we hit Oyo, my eyes are like this. If you have ever experienced the trailers on that road, And you can't go through Ejigbo anymore because that road has been spoiled. So I understand when somebody is saying there's an anxiety about getting on the road, and it's just making you wonder, at the end of the day, it is the question of why. The CBT centers are the computer-based test. We are happy that we have moved JAMB to a computer-based system. But now we need to continue to upgrade the manner in which the exams happen. It's absolutely unacceptable because you're putting people's lives at risk, and then you're coming out.
I think they can actually set their verification time
and unempathetic.
Yeah, you can set the verification time to about 7:30. That is still early, but that means at least some of them will have the leeway of leaving home at 6, which is a little bright. Because at 5 a.m., everywhere is still dark. And those are the times that all these one chance
and all these other people
and then you can even make it closer, because if verification is set for 7:30 for someone from living in Nigeria and is having to ride far away, considering the traffic in some regions, some people will still have to leave at 5 because they don't want to get there late.
So we have some more reactions to this. We're not the only ones who are talking. It's been one of the biggest stories over the weekend here in Nigeria. Let's see what other Nigerians are saying. Technology is supposed to make life better and easier. Why is it making life miserable and risky in JAMB exams? At JAMB HQ, you're supposed to improve examination and not to destroy lives of those who want to write the exams. Please change this system. You choose a location, I guess with local government or so. If there's space in JAMB centers within the location, you get a place close to the local government you chose. If you register later, you might not be lucky. Thus, a location not within the one you chose. So when JAMB says people select, you're not talking about the fact that there are not enough centers in many places. And when people select late, they're left with whatever is left.
Whatever is left.
So it's not just a situation of people are choosing. There's a way in which you're funneling their choice because of the lack of centers. Let's take some more reactions. My sister had exam by 6:30 a.m. They went in to write. 2 hours later, they asked them to come out that there's a network problem. They were asked to wait or be rescheduled. You can imagine she had to wait till after 7 p.m. The rescheduling still failed. TP gone. Imagine she doesn't have anybody in that area. Let's go on with the reactions.
And transportation is not cheap either. There's still some more. Transportation is not cheap either.
Why is JAMB scheduling exams for young kids in such faraway places and towns? Why is everything dysfunctional in this country? Despite so much insecurity, how do you expect these youngsters to get to these places at JAMB HQ? Where my little sister went to write exam today, it cost almost 5K for transport to and from our house.
That's true now.
At JAMB HQ, never scheduled exam faraway places for kids and candidates. Many of the parents' guidance lack proper orientation about UTME registration. At JAMB HQ has made it so easy and convenient for candidates to sit for the exam in centers close to their residential, I am assuming residential areas or residence.
Of course, there will be those that are pro and those that will be...
So I don't think it's so much a pro. So again, JAMB will say that go and register on the portal. You register on the portal, but if you get there and all the centers close to you have been chosen, you're going to be led, or the system will pick a place for you if it finds out that the places or the place that you chose is full. So whose fault is that? Why does wait, JAMB does not have its own CBT?
I don't know, because they are just various places. In fact, this is even better than Ara's time. Ara's time, she had to go to Surulere to a JAMB CBT center to do registration and all these things. And all. I was like, why is this so difficult? I don't know. And now the cost of transportation is even modest when you say 5,000 naira. That means 5,000 naira is just pure transport, not feeding.
Not feeding. And then she was there all day. So there's a lot to it. And again, I'm going to go back to the tone of that statement. JAMB needs to take a step back and realize that you're responsible for exams of minors. And if you're doing anything with minors, you need to be empathetic. You need to make things as convenient as possible. Yes, there will still be people who the convenience will never work for. But don't have this tone that is dismissive. Don't have this tone as if you're doing people a favor. And then even to Peter Obi's point, we don't have enough universities. Even the people who are graduating, we come out, we don't have enough jobs for them. I think there's even a larger conversation to be had around our educational system and this need for everyone to go to university when everyone doesn't have to go to university.
Don't say that. That's a separate conversation.
Exactly. So some people will be wondering, all this stress for what? You come out and you not get a job.
But you know that in Nigeria, most of the time when you say technical school, you see how they even downplay or
diminish.
Look at people that even have ONDs. So even technical colleges are churning out graduates, but it's as if their degree is inferior to a BSc. So a lot of people are not choosing those schools for those kinds of reasons. So there's so many discussions that we should have on the education system, because abroad you can get a job anywhere, whether you have the kind of a university education. Is it not now that the people from Africa are showing the West what the value of education is? How many of the people I know abroad that used to go to uni?
A lot of people.
A lot of them finish colleges and that's all.
A lot of them don't.
And they don't mind.
They get their GED. If they drop out of high school, sometimes they'll get their GED. A lot of people go to technical vocational schools. Do you know how much money the people we call artisans are making abroad?
What are you saying?
We call them artisans here. We look down on the dignity of their labor. Many of them, unfortunately, do not also work to upskill themselves. Not necessarily getting a degree, but making. So we have our mechanic that we typically use. And every time we do something, I'm just thinking, like, the skill that this man has, if he takes it abroad, he'll be making money. But you're in Nigeria. Even simple thing, once you do servicing for us, a week to the servicing, send a message. Oh, God, I serviced your car 3 months ago. Your car is almost due for servicing. Those are the small things that you can add up to that make your service a better service. But
there's so much.
I want to defend them, but I've been their victim.
It's just like I was laughing because we had a roadshow on Friday, and I found out that as much as we talk about education, there's still a lack of it.
Yeah.
It's bad to see. A lot of our women focus on just markets, that every other thing around them, they are a bit oblivious to it.
But at the end of the day, would you blame them? Now,
I know,
we don't
I
chop
don't.
line, they know will be president of
Or how does that affect them when they're struggling to pay school fees?
As far as I'm concerned, you know that sometimes, because when I guide my child now, it's because I saw the lack of some things I had.
Yeah.
That's why I'm trying to guide her better. But if I don't have a knowledge of it, you can't guide your child right, because you don't even know what to guide them towards. So that's why I keep advocating for literacy, for women especially. Maybe, I don't know, when I went on this activation, it just gave me some, like, if there's something we can take to the market, I'll just give these women some kind of base education. I don't mean like serious thing, but basic things that they need to know, so that things won't pass over their heads just like that. It's still very, very important, honestly.
It is. It's a loss, but it's something that we hope, because a lot of people are dragging JAMB. People are even saying that there might be a possible lawsuit in regards, because JAMB is not a free exam. Everything is paid for, whether it's token, it's registration, it's getting results, it's getting, everything is paid for. So if it's paid for, there has to be a better quality of service delivery.
Anyways, we'll go on a short break now. That's just one story. We have more after the break, so stay with us. It's still Jasiri.
Just joining us, you're still watching Jasiri on News Central TV this beautiful Monday morning. All right, it pains me to take this story, but we need to start telling ourselves the truth. As we have said earlier, Nigeria is back in the international news, and not for reasons that would make any of us proud. The United States FBI has announced the arrest of 22 Nigerians in connection with a large and disturbing sextortion scheme. The arrests come as a result of a major collaboration codenamed Operation Artemis between law enforcement agencies from the United States, Canada, Australia, and Nigeria. The United Kingdom. Authorities say the suspects targeted teenage boys, mostly between the ages of 14 and 17, by pretending to be young women on social media platforms. After gaining their trust, they pressured those minors to share explicit photos or videos, which the perpetrators then used to extort money from the victims by threatening to expose them publicly if their demands are not met.
Now, Abbas Sambo, a supervisor with Nigeria's EFCC, who participated in the operation, said, and I quote, "Because they don't actually see the suffering of the victim, they tend to see it as a game. When people get to see or for real this negative impact, it tends to dissuade them from taking part in these activities," end quote. Now, tragically, the sextortion scheme has been linked to some 20 teenage suicides in the United States since 2021. According to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, more than 34,000 people fell victim to sextortion in 2023, and that number surged to over 54,000 in 2024. Over the past 2 years, nearly $65 million has been lost to this crime. Teenage boys remain the most frequent targets. Now, in a related story about Joseph Olugbenga Oloyede, the Akpetu of Ipetumodu, has pleaded guilty before a U.S. federal court to charges related to COVID-19 relief fraud. The court documents revealed that between 2020 and 2021, Oloyede fraudulently secured over $250,000 by submitting false information to access pandemic relief funds meant for struggling businesses.
Now, investigators said that he falsified business records and misrepresented financial details to qualify for the Paycheck Protection Program and other aid initiatives. Following his guilty plea, he now faces the possibility of a lengthy prison sentence along with heavy fines and mandatory restitution. Although his sentencing date has not yet been announced, legal experts suggest that the monarch's willingness to cooperate with investigators might influence the court's final decision. For now, he remains out on bail, but the stain on his reputation and, by extension, the honor of his throne may be much harder to erase.
Lolo, before you die from hissing syndrome, and because we related them because, unfortunately, these are stories that have made international headlines. I think we should start with the Sextortion story, but let's get reactions to the Sextortion story. This is karma. U.S. are among those controlling Nigerians' wealth and politicians. This is not half of what they have done to our forefathers.
This is
wait, we'll get to that. When I never see anything, the mineral resources you all are pushing from Africa to your countries, what can you say about that? Don't say anything yet, Lolo, hold it. Lies. Who are the victims and where is the evidence?
Look at this.
While I don't agree with Yahoo, I don't care that white teens take their lives because of Yahoo's scams rather. Anything white people suffer today, they brought upon themselves because of their level of inhumanity. So good riddance. Irukini, if you're a Yahoo boy, this news should really make you sad. No be life when they live. Oh, if people have to commit suicide so you can buy Benz. Nigerians are suffering, but that doesn't mean we should involve in crime or illegal way of making money. This is deeply tragic and shameful. Sextortion isn't just a crime, it ruins lives. Let's be clear, we must hold our own accountable. This isn't the image Nigerians should be exporting. So, Lolo.
Honestly, it is sad. No, Tolu, it is sad. Look at I can almost cry because this is a section of Nigerian youth that believe that this Yahoo they're doing, they're using it to repatriate
back
what was lost. To who? Are you your ancestors? These people that you are taking money from illegally, they did not do anything. They are not the ones that carted your gold away. These are probably generations down the line that they didn't even know what their ancestors did. I know that we can hold them responsible for some of the things that happened in the past, but taking money from people illegally, especially children. I have seen a video. It was so harrowing. This old woman called the Yahoo boy in Nigeria and shot herself on the video.
When she realized that everything was a scam.
The boy had taken all her life savings, her life insurance. And she's old. And you know America doesn't have the family culture where you can fall into the safety net of some people that can upkeep you. She had nothing. For some boy in some place to be driving a car, look at the way these young people are thinking. Like, oh, yes. He even said good riddance. Imagine your own child. Somebody blackmailing the child with their nude pictures or something. And the child is like, how advanced is their brain? There was a research that Tolu said your brain is not developed until you're about 25 or something. And you do this to teenage boys and you expect us to support you. Why would we? These are people's children. It's illegal on every ground.
It's not just about the legality of it. It is also highly immoral. It's reprehensible.
Exactly. It's just so sad because from the comments that you see, I think the first 3 or first 4 comments were literally in support. And this goes to show that there's so many people who are not doing it, not because they don't want to, but because of the repercussion. At least they're wise enough to think of the repercussion. Yes. Some is just because of their conscience. It's not because they think it's not right. And it's just unfortunate because you said something which is true. These people that you claim stole from you are not their ancestors, and you're not yours. You're not the one they stole from directly. So even if you feel like it, by any means, this is justified, the fact that people are having to take their lives for young people who do not want to work, to drive exotic cars and live in mansions. It's just ridiculous.
Don't you know Yahoo boys are part of the reason why rent is high? Because some landlords would not investigate properly. Imagine when somebody is willing to pay for an accommodation that the working class like us cannot even pay for, and you take the money from them, and you know that there's no visible work that these young boys do, and they live in highbrow areas.
So this was the first of its kind operation that has happened. Let's re-emphasize again. The operation was called Operation Artemis, and it was between law enforcement agencies from the United States, Canada, Australia, Nigeria, and the United Kingdom. I will say this. Nigerians are not the only ones doing this extortion scheme, but it seems that we have become very prolific at it. We're not the only guilty party. And I think one thing that when people defend these Yahoo boys, they forget that they don't have morals. So it's not just about the teenage boy so many thousands of miles away. They also do it to people in Nigeria.
Of course.
When they can't find, quote unquote, the MAGA that pays there, they'll look for the MAGA that's closest to them.
Yeah.
So even we've had people lose their life savings because of scams here in Nigeria. It's not any different.
And I need to even say that we need to be so careful with our information. So look, because I found out that the business cards we hand out are some of the places that they actually get
your information your phone number,
groups that we join, maybe association of these, some of them infiltrate into this, and some people that are close to you actually sell your information for cheap. They say, I know this person's number, you can, and many people can fall. I know how many times in the past that I've fallen for some scam thing that once somebody called me many years ago and said a friend of mine that was in America had an accident, that they're trying to quickly raise money to send the person to a hospital. I was so traumatized because I was not this year, like I'm talking 15, 17 years ago. So thank God that I knew the cousin's number. I was even calling not just because I wanted to call them to be able to know so that we can quickly gather funds and go. And he said, who? She's sitting right, Fumi's here. I said, which Fumi? They said, Fumi that you're talking about, she came from America. Oh, I said, yes, where is she? They said she had an accident. She didn't have any accident. Oh, I hope you didn't send money. That was how that was foiled.
And you know, this is why the lawsuits that Paradigm Initiative, Gbenga Sheson, the executive director of PIN, has been here to talk about their lawsuits against, I think it's the NCC and NIN. Because of the information that's available, you're getting access. You can apparently buy Nigerians' information for your national identification number online. Many of us are just worth 100 naira. Literally, that thing shocked me that day. That our information is just worth maybe 100 naira,
especially
maybe 200
our politicians.
naira. But yet the cost of it and the cost of the damage that can be done. We have to bring this back. You are grooming, you are going after these young boys. And there's something going on in the United States that they're calling the male loneliness epidemic. There's a whole conversation around young men in the U.S. right now, which is probably why they're #1 targets for this. There's a whole conversation around manliness and being the man, all these red pill content, Andrew Tate, and all that stuff. And so you're having young boys in the U.S. who are struggling to figure out who they are. How manly they are. Do they meet the standards, supposedly, of what a man is? And so that whole stuff is happening. And then you're taking advantage. You're coming to them. You're using people's pictures. Let's not forget that. I don't know if you guys saw the story of the lady who caught the person who was using her picture. And I started begging. Her brothers called her because somebody sent them picture that she was doing hookup. Her brothers are abroad. And she's like, I'm not doing any hookup. They didn't believe her. She went and looked for the girl that was using her picture, and she used some kind of maneuver or manipulation to bring her. The girl was now begging, you've caught me now, I won't do it again. You were using somebody else's picture. People are seeing that picture. So they got to her brothers that she's doing hookup, that she's doing prostitution.
Hey, this thing you're saying, there's a university that I just don't want to mention because it's very sensitive. She takes pictures of her friends, her colleagues in the bathroom,
and sends it to
one guy in another. She sells it to all these pornographic sites or another guy in her school, a uni. Imagine being with your girlfriends, you don't know, she just sets the camera, records them in the bathroom, sometimes when they're in their room dressing up, this and that, and she was caught. She does it for her own self, but she does it too to her colleagues on suspecting. Imagine if you see your child's picture or video.
Do you know how difficult it is to remove your content, to remove your information from online?
And now this was done
I don't even think
against
it's
their
possible
will.
anymore. I don't think it's possible anymore
No,
because once you post it, there are people sharing and downloading.
You never know who has saved it on their phone.
There are numerous steps. Google, there's a way that you can be forgotten, but you have to go through a lot of steps, and every single trace of it will be removed.
But the people that have downloaded it, you can't.
Because
you
their
can't
personal
remove
phone.
The people that download it,
They
but
can
anything
repost it.
So that's
online,
the thing. They repost it. Once it's online, it's online.
it's a lot. It's a lot. So for
And this
people to
thing-
be justifying it, it really speaks to
sad.
the moral degradation of the country, and that's why this story is important. Even the Oba, let's not forget.
Let's up that one.
That's
I feel
the
sad
Oba.
for a monarch. And this is somebody that has constituency members, that have people that respect him. The throne, he has desecrated the throne. If there are really ancestors, shouldn't Shango or
It's a
Orunmila
monarch and a pastor.
destroy him and a clergyman?
There are two people.
Yeah.
Do you know how many Nigerians are facing cases in the United States because of this COVID-19 fraud?
I know somebody abroad too. When I had that long stay in America, he was caught. They said he takes care of
Elderly
disabled. A disabled young adult. So he filed in the name of that disabled young adult. All the COVID funds that were supposed to be
All the disability fund. Oh my God, for the upkeep.
They said he took it and made his way back.
So you'll come back to
the country.
Nigeria. You'll see this largesse.
He'll
You'll
meet
buy
Blessings
land, buy house.
Mosugo, and as he will meet our standards.
His blessings that he'll
They
meet.
never find me.
But no, it's a conversation we have to have. You'll come home, you'll buy cars, you'll be doing business, you'll be doing house, you'll be made monarch, and then people will be thinking you're an upstanding pillar of the community, and people will point to you as an example. Meanwhile, nobody's investigating. You might even go to church or mosque and do donation, and nobody's asking.
In fact, recently, honestly, the standards of electing or choosing these people have dropped because it's now about money. You make someone a monarch because they're rich. You
And
make
before we
people
know, they're going to politics.
because
They go
they're
into politics,
rich.
and before they legitimize their illegality.
We go for a break. We're not going to politics, but just a break.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, for our last story, we're looking at a trend that got a lot of reactions on social media at FIFSS. I don't know how she pronounces it. _, asked on X. Girl, I don't know. So I needed to be sure. She asked on X, girl to girl, tell us when you realize you can never marry him. The comments. I laughed first, then I sent it to the group.
Oh my God! And then Tolu says the craziest, maddest, and I always said anything that is mad, I send it directly to her.
So let's see what the reactions were to her question. He was touching me somehow in front of his friends. I removed his hand. Hey, knock! Landed on my head for Nico. Say, you dare what? In front of my people? Knock. Lord, I was looking after my dad due to his health, and Oga blatantly said to leave my dad and focus fully on him because he's my future and my dad is my past. That was when the scales fell from my eyes. I went to buy akara from my neighbor that sells by the roadside, and he casually said, I'm no wife material. Why didn't I wash beans, grind and fry my own akara? Akara, 100 naira, I want to buy. He said, I like this one. He said he would like to marry a woman that has been a house help before. Another day, I told him I was preparing for an exam. He told me all these suffering from med school, that if we get married, I'll put my MBBS aside, or I'll be at home front. I'll be at the home front, that he'll make enough money. Most of them never end up making enough money. We went shopping days after meeting, and he said I embarrassed him by paying for myself. I thought he wanted to pay for me and told him he could pay next time. He said I should have given him my card before we went in, so he would be the one to swipe it. That me, I emasculated him. He said his mom doesn't have cramps like me, so I should stop acting like I'm the only one that has periods. Wow.
No, this one.
When I got sick of picking up after him and left one of his lunch containers sitting in the foyer because I wanted to see how long it would take for him to pick it up, it sat there 3 months before I threw it away. What's really crazy to me about these quotes is that one girl will walk away from him knowing he's not the one, and yet another one will stand at the altar and say, I do. What breaks one person might be everything another is willing to accept. And that is the absolute, honest truth.
Tola, I was waiting for you to say blessings. Tell us when you realize.
Tell us when you. He's not even married. This one will be when you just decide not to date.
Not to date. Tell us.
Not to date.
Yeah, I have my own sweet story.
I have my own story too.
It's so sweet.
Time is going as you're laughing. Your time is going.
To leave. If our time is wrong.
So I was dating this guy where, I mean, we did it for long because I've always been in long relationships. We did it for 5 years. And, you know, of course, we're suffering at some point. So I got a job. I started working. And out of the blue, so the first one that happened was one day we're talking. And, you know, he speaks really well because that's one of the things that attracts me to men. So most times we kind of like just exchange new words. Oh, I just learned this word. So I think he used the word haphazard. And I'm like, oh, do you know I just learned this haphazard? We're talking on the phone. He was in his room. I was in my room. The next day he called me. He said he couldn't sleep.
That you corrected
because
him?
I corrected his English.
Ah!
And then that whole week, like 3 days later, I was like, you know, he just started talking about submission. That when a woman wants to travel and the husband says no, if she has money, that's not submission. It's when she doesn't have money, that's submission.
What does that mean?
Your two legs hit the back of your head, ba?
Oh, my. What I realized
falling off your eyes.
When he would buy bread and literally count the bread.
I know this person. I know who Lola's
and
talking
say
about.
that we must fry only 1 egg for an adult male. Just because he has already marked that this bread, I'm going to eat it two slices.
The man has no children. I know who she's talking about.
Then I knew that. And he's not a young man because somebody come and judge him.
With children.
A grown man with grown children at university. I knew. The first day I met him, I went to his house and he served me soup. The soup was so small, I felt that, oh, maybe there was no soup remaining. But I didn't know that he had already marked the soup that this soup will last him for X amount of days.
But he was cutting his clothes according to his size now.
Tolu.
We can't fit in the same clothes. So.
1 egg and you must fry it flat.
So that you can cut it in half.
So that you can cut it into pieces to eat the 2 slices of bread.
Is the one that ever said he wants to marry someone that's done house help before?
I remember my own. What happened? I think he had been calling me, sent my uncles to me. I said, okay, fine, let's go on a date. And I said, Kinisha, what's doing you? That you're not the only fine girl. That me, I've been calling you. That other women, I do like this. You did like this in front of me. I said, it's me. It's not your fault. It's because I respected my uncle and I came here. I just carried my bag. I said, I'm so sorry, I cannot work. I
realized, and I said, I can never marry you.
I can't.
Because the life we will live,
it will be
very austere,
very stingy.
You know, there's some people that are stingy to themselves. Because this is not just stingy to me. This is somebody I know how much I wrote for him. Like, okay, I got a big deal, and I wanted you to share part of my joy. But you know somebody that will give you NEPA bill and give you 5,000 because he has calculated that even if they use and it's only me that used it, I can't spend more than this.
Oh, he only gave you his portion of the NEPA bill.
My sister, have you seen somebody that washed a pillowcase, a bed you share? He washed his own pillowcase only.
No, say, I knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was
the day that pillowcase one was done. You know when you put your bag under your armpit, I say,
if he could wash his own side of the bed.
You know that the tweet about the container is actually one of the reasons I love my husband. I don't have to pick up after him, and I know a lot. So, and that last tweet that one man's poison is another man's meat. Whatever your standards are, in all honesty,
but you know what? There's
stick to your standards.
No, but honestly, sometimes you won't see because you know it was after this whole relationship that my brother's girlfriend was like, blesses you, Mumu. Because me, I don't even like doing chores, but I will clean up after this person. If I guess do you want to wash clothes? I'll say yes. Me, that I used to preach, don't wash anymore. They will drop clothes for me, and then because I like listening to music when I'm doing chores, I'm listening, I'm singing. The same person will come and say, "Can you just?"
They'll tell you washing your clothes though.
Just turn it down.
No, not real scales. There was no python.
This one.
There was a whole python that fell from your eyes.
No. Sometimes I actually think that these days you should give relationship a long birth. Before you make up your mind about anything.
And try to see people in different situations.
Honestly, and don't be surprised when I see people that change for other people. There's
But they
some
may not
men,
change for
there's
you.
some things about you that they can't take, but you see them.
They take it
Do you
for
know this
another.
same relationship? If I don't like extremely short things. So even at home, like I wear shorts, but it's here. If I wear short that is a little above my, it will tell me if you want to stroll or maybe you want to go and buy
Yes, go and
suya,
change.
you say I should go and change. I'll wear long skirt. My brother also be looking at me.
You're turning it to me.
Do you understand? The next lady I saw him all over her Instagram was bomb shot. I'm like, listen,
Now you, or maybe that lady. You know, sometimes men test us.
Yes,
if you can take some things that you are taking it,
yes,
they'll start walking all over you like ta 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 ta. But if you say no,
yes, it's true.
So I would love to see a guy ask this question to guys,
Yeah.
and if the guys give the answers, we'll bring them here to
to
you
you.
as well. Because what we see as women definitely is going
Might
to
not
be
be
different.
what
One last one I'll tell you guys. It's like the MBBS one, we didn't take that one, but the guy said that when she finishes and everything, that either she changes her name to his name. And she said no, that she's doing her doctorate, she's going to become a doctor. He said fine, that when she gets her doctorate, she has to change her name to his name, not her father's name. And she said why? She even thought it's because he was going to be proud of him, so that they'll think that he's the one that's the doctor. Oh! And it's a wrap for today. It's a wrap. I didn't see that one.
so I didn't see that one coming.
We've dived deep and we've gotten some stories that captured your attention. It's just serious, and it's just never about the news. It's about what the news means, how it affects each and every one of us. And of course, every once in a while, some joy and laughter like this. So whether it's politics, pop culture, social issues, or just those stories that remind us, Blessing's looking at me, remind us of who we are, we're here to break it all down, ask the bold questions, and connect the dots. Remember, the world won't slow down, and neither will we. We'll keep watching, questioning, celebrating, and challenging, because Just Siri is about staying sharp, staying curious, and staying true. We'll see you guys tomorrow.